Okay, so as promised, I have updated the mic situation. You begged, I delivered. Today, I want to talk about ADHD and just want to go off and say straight off the bat that I am not diagnosed and I'm not a professional. So these are my thoughts about it. Today, I was supposed to be taking an exam in Norwegian, my mother tongue, a subject in high school that I bombed and wanted to retake now 12 years later to help me get into college where I was going to take a new bachelor's degree. But don't I already have one? Yes, I do. I have a physiotherapy degree that I practiced for a year and a half after school before I so boldly turned down a full-time position, told my current boss that I cannot say yes to this job because I'm going off to pursue music in Oslo. 6 years later, I am now returning to physiotherapy. But if you watched my sob story yesterday, I can promise no tears today. But I am okay with going full circle, and here's why. I have zero regrets about that decision of turning down such a great opportunity coming fresh out of getting my degree. I know my coworkers and my mentor at that job, they were like, are you crazy you're crazy for turning down this job? Are you insane? People would die for this opportunity. Working at a rehab facility for spinal cord injuries and strokes. And I loved it. Yes, parts of it. I did not like all of the documentation I had to do and all the responsibility for people's lives and livelihoods. But I liked the motivational part. I liked the one-on-one interactions with people and encouraging people. That's what I think I'm naturally good at. The rest, at the time, felt too grown up for me. And why I have zero regrets is because since I turned this job down, I think in 2021, early 2022. Sorry, so it's been quick maths 4-something years. I have had the roller coaster of my life in terms of personal growth and the experiences I've had and the people I've met and the things I've gotten to do because I dared to put like a stable career on hold to not just pursue music, but to stay a little bit outside of like the normal trajectory. Bear in mind, I was already turning 30 that year. Wait, I'm 34 soon. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was turning 30 that year, and my friends, partly, some of them, were settling down, having kids, buying a house, a car, and then I'm like, but these few years have, because I put myself in a position where life can come at me, and obstacles and just like new situations that I would not have countered staying in that job have really pushed me to my limit where like mental weaknesses are pushed to the forefront, and for good or bad, like that means you can do something about it, because if you don't know, you don't know. But once it becomes exposed in the light, you have an opportunity to do something about it. And my marriage was strained. I won't go into how badly, but because of this, we've been through couples therapy and have just experienced like the best year of our marriage in our 6th and 7th year in. And I'm forever grateful for that learning opportunity, and I've learned how much anxiety with like people pleasing and perfectionism that I carried, which is why I think I was also getting a little bit worn out in the physio world. But in an extreme way, these things were pushed when I had to work full time as a manager in the service industry. It got so bad that I finally quit, but I couldn't finish out my my last like months of resignation. And I ended up in my first therapy sessions, which I thought, like, I don't need this, and I don't need social service care that Norway provides, because in my eyes, like, I'm not sick. Like, I had all these ideas about, like, I don't need help. I can fix this myself. But I've realized it's been so helpful to talk through these things that I have just been carrying silently in my head and in my body. I have some songs where I talk about some of the symptoms too, that like I would bleed regularly, like nosebleeds, like at least once a week. It got so bad too where like the tips of my fingers started like getting white, like we call it likfingre in Norwegian, a dead body fingers. And I started also having like nerve pain down my back and my legs. And as a physiotherapist, I'm like, okay, I know these are all the bad signs of something's really wrong here. And helped me just stop and take a breather. And thank goodness for all the help and the support that both our country, Norway, provides in these scenarios where I was able to take that time. And I know a lot of people cannot. And that's an interesting discussion as well, because Norway, with all of our like healthcare and these safety nets to fall into, like, and are also have shorter work hours than many countries and more vacation time, like we at least documented seem to like be struggling more with our mental health. And that's something I'm just gonna not go into now, but I think it's such an interesting discussion about like medicalization, or like when you have everything available and yet you're at the end of life, but life is still not amazing, So, but these years I've gotten also coaching in like work situations, and I had a position last year of 2025 working like almost full time as a potato, like an everything person for nonprofit prayer house, where I'm like doing social media, admin, group leading, teaching, worship leading, like with music, designing things. So I just did everything, and it fit me so well because I really thrive with like variation, but at the same time, some form of structure. And this provided that time for me to see like, okay, there are jobs out there that are interesting enough, but not like too wild for me to still have energy when I come back home to my life, like to my husband, to take care of myself in terms of eating, hygiene, cleaning the house, working out, like all those things. And so that has been my main focus this last year, is to build really, really good structures and routines for myself, where I take care of like, my actual temple. And it's all connected to the mind and the spirit. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to like really rebuild from the ground up, which I think when you're just like in it, you don't get the chance to do that. Like you just have to hold on to your survival mechanisms and your masks and your of course, like personality is huge there and the way you're brought up as well, but you don't have time to really like stop and evaluate. And so Yeah. Uh, so back to ADHD. I had a psychologist during this program that I had qualified for, where they help certain people who fall out of the system a little bit, and who struggle just with like making work. Um, we took a test as well to see if I scored on the potential ADHD thing, and I did. And she said, one day, if you'd like, you can pursue, to get like an actual diagnosis. And at the time, it was more than enough for me to just get through work and focus on those things. But then I both, it was like a mutual ending of a project, that job I had, but New Year's Eve 2025. So January 1st, 2026, I didn't have a job. But I had a lot of time. And so I was like, you know what, this time I'm at a healthy place now where I'm able to like look at myself a little bit from afar, which is what they recommend as well when you go to therapy. Like we did that with couples therapy. When me and my husband were at like a stable, good place, that's when they recommend you go in and do the work, because you're not so like in it. You're able to evaluate and maybe more easily put aside like just the feelings in a situation, but kind of see yourself from an outside perspective. And so I thought I would like bring this into possible ADHD diagnosis procedure. And in Norway, you approach your physician. Everybody gets assigned like one doctor because we have healthcare, and it has to go through this one doctor. Everything basically. Of course, you can pursue private, but it's just so expensive. And so I I went in there kind of nervous, because I also, like everybody, have read and seen like how much people are, like saying they have ADHD, and it's like trending, and it's everybody has ADHD these days. And I was also at a good place, right? So I was scared that like I would look and appear too good for him to even like consider pursuing this with me. What he doesn't know is that I'm like working out 6-7 times a week for my own mental health, and I'm not working at the moment. So like all I'm doing is eating and working out and taking care of my sleep and my relationship with God, and like doing all those things that are making me a healthy person. But like there's no job in there. I'm between jobs. So yeah, I'm great, but like let's add one thing in there and it can all just come crumbling down. And he said exactly what I feared and expected, that like, well, everybody is on the spectrum, and well, you finished high school and you have a degree, so like you obviously are too high functioning. And our psychiatrists, because he can't set the diagnosis, he will like send me off into like the facility where they will do the more thorough work. He's like, they're overworked with, quote unquote, like hint people like you trying to get a diagnosis, and they need to like prioritize the ones who are just really bad. And again, I feel guilty here, because I agree, like, yeah, we should prioritize those who can't work out or can't do all those things for themselves to like build a healthy life, and that may be struggling to finish middle school, high school. Of course, I agree. So it's just, I just like feel like more and more small and ashamed for even being there and asking for this consideration. He takes another questionnaire, like the same one the previous psychologist did with me, makes me cross it out and stuff, that like sees if I'm in the potential area. And he's like, yeah, I see you are, but like I can send a request to them, but you're just going to be rejected. You can go to a private, obviously, but for me, that's like not going to happen. I don't have a job. It's just so expensive. So I leave there feeling a little bit ashamed. And I told him to, and this was probably my mistake, is that I said, I'm not interested in like the medicine. I just really want to get to a place of more self-acceptance, but also receive the tools available to help me navigate my mind and the way that I work. And I'm in a good place now, so like I thought this would be a good time to kind of work out these things. And he's like, well, we can all just work on some self-acceptance, and if you're not interested in meds, like what's the point? And it ended there. So this was probably in February-ish. And since then, like, I agree with the fact that, like, yeah, I can work on self-acceptance on my own, and I can also work on understanding my mind, my tendencies, my pits, and my strengths, and also having, like, a husband aware who, personally, I think is, like, the typical ADHD type person, so we're both a little bit crazy, and no, sorry, we're not crazy. We are fun. Yeah. And so that has like helped, of course, me making rash decisions or impulsive decisions. It's just that like my husband will do the same. So if we're both in a bad place, it can get really bad. If we're both at a great place, it's amazing. And hopefully sometimes we get to be the stable person for the other person if they're going off like, side quests. So that's what we're getting into now, is my side quests. So I decided that I was going to become like an ambassador. And yes, I thought like great job opportunity, because then I can live like in the Philippines where I'm from and my husband's parents still live, or we can live in Korea where my husband's actually from and maybe we can live there for a bit, or like I can travel, which is also what I loved about music, is the traveling part of it. But I wanted a stable income, so I'm like, oh, being an ambassador like that must be so stable and like a good place to have kids. Yeah, so I went all full rabbit hole into this, and I basically reapplied for college starting this fall, where I was going to take a degree that would like get me on that course. And I realized too that I wanted to retake some of my exams from high school, particularly Norwegian, because that's my weakest link. And so I've been reading this like textbook from high school all vacation. And in the middle of all this, I realized that I was going full side quests again and setting myself up for leaving a potential new bachelor at the age of 37, 38, applying for jobs without experience at that age. Not saying it's impossible. One thing would be if this is like what I would die to do, but I was just doing it because of like, it's probably a good idea. Realized becoming an ambassador is just as hard as becoming an artist. So it's not the stable job that I was looking for. And also realized that I cannot stand conflict. And yeah, so today, as I'm sitting right here, there is an exam going on somewhere in the city that I'm supposed to be at, taking that Norwegian test. And I just realized, not for me. Like, stop. No more side quests. Yes. And it also came from the fact that I've recently just landed on going back to my original degree, physiotherapy. And so now I'm like, why would I need this exam again? And why would I put myself through like 8 hours of horrible feelings of, yeah. So I decided not to go. I'm not sure if it's a mistake or not. I'm just in it right now. And yeah, haven't told my family. But Dad subscribes to this, and he called me immediately after yesterday to talk. And I'm sure he will see this. So he'll be the first one to find out. But I'm okay with it. I'm happy that I've just decided to pursue physio, and my only side quests will be just music for fun. And I'm gonna try to stick with that. And you guys can call me out if I start doing too many things. And I'm still like entangled in a few obligations here and there and some side quests that I'm gonna try to get out of. But one thing at a time. And I also have to cancel an interview I have with a massage place that I applied to, which, yeah, that's not good for me. So there's just a lot of side quests, and I think this is like navigating through those because it's so easy to be inspired, knowing which ones just kind of, I'm gonna put it just boldly into like an ADHD side quest, and I'm gonna put like the things that kind of stay with you over time, and you realize like these are actually true to me and not just like a need to change yourself, need for a new career, like escapism, new personality. Like I want to get good at kind of seeing, is this you or is this just like your chameleon situation trying to fit in, or you got a little bit too excited about something, but you don't need to make it a career. That's what I'm trying to do. And the only thing so far that has stuck with me over 15 years is like music and working out, like going to the gym or learning calisthenics or gymnastics. Like those two things have stayed with me over time. And I see that my mental health declines when I don't prioritize them. Of course, I can also get unhealthy if it gets too intense, but like these things are core to me and grounding and anchors for me. So I'll try to do as much as I can to protect those two things, and the rest just kind of like another life. So I don't know if anybody else out there is like this, but I think there are, and I've realized like how ununique I am. And I think that's what's so beautiful about at least the good side of social media is learning like, oh, I'm not alone. Like I'm not crazy, like I said earlier. Like this is normal for people like this to do these things and think this. And that's what I like about that community building and sharing our feelings and thoughts and making the world a little bit less scary and more understandable, more less lonely at least. So I hope that this helped somebody. And I know it's rambling, but maybe you kept up. I don't know. Till next time.